Welcome to episode number 221 of the Life Changing Questions podcast. Today we have Micah LaCerte. Now, Micah is coming all the way from Kansas City, and he is the co-founder of Hitch Fitness Online Personal Training and Hitch Fitness Transformation Gym with his wife, Diana. He is also the co-founder of Soul Fits Retreats and conferences where they lead through faith, fitness, and fun. Now, he is a muscle model world champion, an Ironman Fitness magazine cover model, TV personality, author, and motivational speaker. Now, I'm completely blown away. We were just having a conversation before the call started. So he's known for being a pioneer in the online personal training space, and he's built it to an extent where he's helped people now in 82 countries, and he's helped his clients shed over 700,000 pounds. That's like incredible. It's completely mind-blowing. So I'm so glad to have you on the show today. Welcome.
And really happy to be here.
Tell us about your journey. How do you go from, from being just a regular human to someone who you succeed so well in your own health that you're on the covers of the magazines, and then you go on to help that many people have that much of an impact? Tell us about your journey.
Well, I mean, it all starts, unfortunately, in kind of a pain place. The first 18 years of my life was really rough. You hear this in a lot of successful entrepreneurs. They've gone through a lot of stuff that shifted their lives or their mindset in wanting more. I was very much like that. I was 138 pounds when I went into college and when I started working out, but I was really struggling with anxiety, some depression. I was just insecurity. I was in a pretty rough place. Fitness and health and my faith kind of brought things together in a way that helped me to kind of focus on the positive and focus ahead. But initially, I think my driver came from an angry and painful place. And then I was able, as I went through my own transformation, I was able to kind of move that to more of a direction of purpose and impact. And so after I went through my own transformation through college, I was like, I want to help other people do this as well. I ended up graduating college and I had a friend at a gym say, "Hey man, you need to be a fitness model." I had no idea. This is like 2001. I have no idea what a fitness model is. And he's like, "Oh, the guys that are on covers of magazines and stuff." And so from that day forward, I was like, I'm going to be a fitness model. And only I think 2 years later, I ended up getting on my first cover, and I was in
Wow.
hundreds of magazines. I did a lot of different stuff. So what I did is I utilized the success that I was having in my personal space with the fitness modeling, and then utilize that to help facilitate my other business, which was personal training. That's where MySpace came in. And MySpace, this is way back when. For your young viewers, they're not going to know what that is, but our age group is going to kind of know where that is. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I was showcasing transformations, what I was doing in the fitness world, and I ended up building about that up to about 150,000 followers and friends. And what happened is in 2006, I had this girl from Canada reach out and she says, "Man, I wish I could work with you." And it was like a light bulb. And I was like, well, why couldn't I just make you a plan, send it via email, and then we can communicate and see how you do? She ended up losing 30 pounds or so in 12 weeks. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have something. But it wasn't as easy as going on to Google and saying, what is it that I'm actually doing? What is online personal training? Because it didn't really exist at that point. You couldn't find it anywhere. And so I ended up having to try to be an innovator and a pioneer in a space that hadn't existed yet. And one of my biggest challenges was teaching people what it was and that it could actually work. And so as I had more people go through my system, I was using their stories to grow my business.
Perfect. So your results of your clients, I guess it's such a visual medium. You can see it before, you can see an after. And so you use those results to help other people have the belief and the faith that you can help them.
Yes. So you had the before and the after, but it was really important to also capture their story and their words authentically. And so they would share with me maybe a little bit of a video or some text, whatnot, that I could use as a, how did this system help me? How do I feel now? And then that was just essentially a really positive review is what it was. And so I was using a free platform like MySpace to grow a business. And me and my wife, when I met my wife in 2008, 2009 is when HitchFit was born, my business. And then from there, like I said, we've grown it to 82 countries and over 700,000 pounds lost.
Just staggering amount. It's hard to even picture. And I'm just trying to think about that for people who work in kilos. What there's like around like two pounds to a kilo. So that would be like 350,000 kilos,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
around there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Like it's a ridiculous amount of weight. I can't even picture that in terms of the number of people. I mean, it's just a lot of
We're well over 20,000 clients that we've worked with at this
yeah,
point.
incredible. Tell us a little bit about the journey then, because you said you had something when you realized you were helping people locally, you realized you can help people who weren't physically around you. How do you then make that step or that stage to scale to that many people? Because there's a lot of other logistics that you need to think about now.
So there were a lot of steps to begin with, and that's a great question. So what happened is I had the first client transform, and she wanted to share her story. And the most powerful part of that is she didn't even live in my country.
Mm.
So she was in Canada, which made the story even that much more powerful because I was living in Kansas City. At the time, you got to remember personal training was one on one. So it would be me and Kevin working together one on one in person. The thought of doing it online and someone be successful, that was like, there's no way that that will work. And so as I start getting new clients, it started slow. As I started getting new clients, then it started growing in the relevance and people thinking, okay, this could actually work. This guy can't just be making up these stories. It started getting bigger and bigger. And so I didn't have a website at that point. I was doing everything literally through like, just MySpace messages and stuff. And then we were like, okay, we need to start a business, build a website. I didn't know how to do any of that. You got to get the LLCs, you got to get all the legal stuff in place. And then sure enough, once the business was in place, that's when it exploded. And then one of the big things that we did is we went out and found big websites like bodybuilding.com was really big at that time. There were a couple review sites that were really big. And when we started getting traction on some of those sites, Pinterest was very new, which is a picture-based platform. I mean, we just started just putting things everywhere, and we started getting to the top pages of Google on all the search terms. We were utilizing the social media. So I wasn't paying any money for any of the marketing we were doing either, which was the other thing. Because we didn't have a whole lot of money to begin with. We were just using the success of our clients to then catapult us to where we are.
And tell me, you said you went out and found sites like bodybuilding.com, as in you got the domain, or there was an existing business and you could promote your services through them?
Yeah, so I was essentially utilizing platforms that were much larger than
Yeah,
us to
yeah.
showcase what it is we do. But what I did that was probably different was I was going to them with value. So I said, hey, here's what I have to offer. These people have done amazing things. They buy supplements off of your site,
Yeah.
and here's a way. And so I wasn't having to pay for that, but it was getting millions of people looking at it. And so
And,
that was kind of one of the strategies we did early on.
and it's a perfect win-win because they showcase the amazing work that you're doing and it promotes their products and their services. So you provide them
That's
great
right.
content to market their products. Very big win-win. And I guess you can rinse and repeat that with, I guess, as many different large platforms like that as possible.
Yeah.
And tell me a little about, because at the moment it sounds completely rosy and amazing. Like I had this idea, I did it, it works, and I did it and it works, and it got bigger and bigger. And it makes it sound like it was completely plain sailing. Was it plain sailing like that, or did you have some challenges along the way?
We for sure had, like from the get go, it started rising. I mean, the first 2 to 3, 4 years were just like gangbusters. It was like, it was extreme growth. And then
Yeah.
what happened is we got attacked. We got cyber attacked with backlinks. And so people out there that understand getting attacked by backlinks, and what I mean by that is where other websites that are inappropriate websites, so things you don't want your business a part of, it could be competitors that did this. It could be, we have no idea who actually did it, but we didn't know this was a thing. All of a sudden we start seeing our Google rankings start going down, and we're having to, like, what is going on? And we didn't know how to protect ourselves. And I ended up having to get a specialist in to kind of clear all that out and try to build ourselves back up. But we went through about a 2-year period that was very difficult, where we saw some, where we were on this trajectory of this, and then all of a sudden it went to this pretty quickly. Now, we were still doing really well. I'm not going to say that we like lost our business. It was nothing like that. But the direction we were going pivoted and changed really rapidly once we found out what was going on. And I mean, it was probably 6 months before we knew we were attached to all these really bad websites.
Yeah. Okay. And it's really interesting that that can happen, and that it's hard for you to defend against if you don't know that it's happening to you. And so it grew really super fast over that 4 years. Tell me about, what were some of the things that you had to get in place to allow for that growth? I mean, presumably you needed to bring on more team members, or you needed to start managing customers. How did that work?
So this is what's going to blow most people's minds. We have never hired another trainer within the online side of our business. Every
Wow.
single client we have worked with has been my wife or I, and we have made every single plan custom from day one. We don't use softwares, we don't use robots, we don't use like program creators, and all communication has been through my wife and I. So we work 7 days a week and always have for a very long time. Now, some people may say that that's not freedom. It's something that her and I both love thoroughly. And it's at a point now where we've switched the way that we communicate. Like, we still communicate with them, but it's not, just full on access where it's, 20 messages a day type of stuff with every client.
You said 20,000 customers, so 20,000 plans you've
Over
done between.
20,000 clients now. Yeah.
The brain does find that hard to compute, actually. And for you to have the scale and the growth that you have and still do that and still keep loving it, I'd imagine a lot of people would have got tired or burnt out by now, because it's a lot of
Yeah.
repetition.
Yeah. I mean, I think we both came from a place where it was very humbling backgrounds, and then to be able to have an opportunity of success and growth. We only knew one way. I mean, we were both competitors that stepped on stage and won world championships. We operate at a level that a lot of people can't operate at, and that is really what it comes down to. We live a very disciplined life. So for us, regardless of where we were traveling in the world, we could continue working. That was the other cool thing about having the online business, opposed to having a bunch of brick and mortars.
Yeah, got it. Tell me about this disciplined life. And it's great to hear you say you work at a level, you operate at a level. There's a standard there that most people wouldn't be able to adhere to. Now, you're saying you work 7 days per week. A lot of people definitely don't do that, wouldn't do that. You still keep yourself in shape. I know a lot of business owners I meet are so focused on the business, they forget the health, or they forget the relationship. So tell us about that higher standard.
So much of my wife and I's life is based around balance, and we have specific pillars or non-negotiables. One of our non-negotiables is our faith, making sure we're walking properly. The second one is our relationship, making, her and I work together, so we're together all the time. And that is a unique relationship as well, because there's business and relationship, and making sure that we're getting enough of both, or not too much of one and not enough of the other. And then our health comes into play, and it's not only our physical health, but our mental health as well, and making sure that that is on point. And really, a lot of that has to do with just communicating with one another, because our marriage is very, very important to us. We just celebrated 15 years together, but 12 years married. And it's a very, very important thing to us. But I'll tell you, when it comes to my specific lifestyle, I'm a firm believer that a majority of people are not their best versions. And they're not their best versions because they have a lot of habits in their life. Although they may be successful financially, or with accolades, they are not living a lifestyle that is going to help them actually be their best and gain even more success. And I always argue this with people, because if we start eating right, if we start working out, I understand as an entrepreneur and a business owner and owning multiple businesses how difficult it can be at times, chronic stress and anxiety and everything that comes into play. Working out and eating right, science shows it now how that can just combat, a lot of those feelings that we're going through, and that stress, that constant stress. And it's unfortunate, a lot of men and women that are leaders and entrepreneurs are turning to things like drugs or alcohol or something else to kind of balance themselves out, and we know that's not good for anything. And so we've made it non-negotiable in our lives to live a specific lifestyle. It's a part of our identity. It's a part of our DNA. This is going to sound crazy to some, and it's not for everyone. I wake up at 3:30 at the latest every single morning. I don't set an alarm clock. This is even on vacation, 7 days a week. I have the same exact flow in the morning. I wake up, I do my prayer work, my face stuff, and then I get into cardio. I do cardio, and that's where I do a majority of my content. My brain is just really clear and sharp in the morning. So I'm building content for all my different pages or blogs or whatever I have to do in the mornings, 7 days a week, regardless if I'm in Costa Rica or Kansas City, it's happening. And the way that I make that happen is I'm always prepared. So regardless of where we go, I know where the gym is. I know where to get the food that I need to get. And some people may say, "Oh man, dude, that's not freedom." I would disagree. I think being healthy and fit is being in full freedom, while not being healthy and fit is living in pure bondage of something. And people have no idea what it feels like. A majority of people have no idea what it feels like to wake up healthy and fit. They have no clue. And so it's why we drive it so much, of like these entrepreneurs and big doers and big thinkers. Like, if I can get you healthy and fit too, you're going to go change the world, man.
I love it. And I love the frame around that whole conversation. So wake up feeling healthy and fit. And so you're
Mm.
always prepared. You know where the gym is, you know where to get the food. Uh, Waking up at 3:30 every day without an alarm. Tell me about your bedtime routine. How long do you get to sleep?
Yeah, I go to bed about 8:30 every day too.
Okay.
So I don't stay up late. I'm like, my mind shuts off. By the time I get to bed, I use every ounce of fuel. I fall over. I'm asleep in like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I'm strength training later in the day as well. So people go, "I don't have time for that." I believe that you got to make time for it. Like, it has to be a part of your priority, just from a mental standpoint. It's not all about muscle, although all the studies show longevity comes down to muscle mass and VO2 max, making sure your body fat is not at a high place. All those things are contributors to living a longer, fuller life. So work out and eat right. But it's not all about being, "Oh, I want to be a bodybuilder, I want to be a fitness model." Like that was the path that I went down. But for me, I go in there and it's therapy for me. I take it out on dumbbells, and I take it out and it makes me feel good. And those endorphins and the myokines that are released in your bloodstream, all that stuff, it makes me feel good. And that's why I continue doing it.
Love it. Very clear. Very clear. And not everyone has had that experience or creates that experience in that way. And it's good that you see it as therapy. The connection that I really like there is that you say the science shows that this is going to actually improve your results in your life and business. Because if you're feeling stressed, you go and do that workout, it's going to help you deal with that stress, help you build the things that you need. So super clear. You mentioned really there's several non-negotiables for you. You said health, which you've just gone into very detail. Relationship, you mentioned, of course, because you work with your wife and that stands communication, and faith. Tell us about the importance of faith and how that's really made an impact on the way you run your business and your life.
Yeah, so I mean, everything is intertwined with that, is foundational for us. So, I was raised with faith, with Christ as Lord, and I got away from it probably around the age of 15 till about the age of 28 or so. I had gone through a tremendous amount of hardships and pain. And the way that I kind of looked at God at that point was, if I'm a good kid, then he's going to protect me. And so I kind of had turned my heart and eyes away from him. As I was getting all the success, I was trying to use the success to help heal a lot of stuff that was going inside of me. And you realize that no matter how much money's there, no matter how many covers or how much success you were gaining, it wasn't helping that. Yeah, on the outside it looked great, but on the inside I was still struggling. And men, we have trouble speaking about hardships anyways. You know, we don't want to let people think we're weak, or there's, you know, that it's somehow hindering us from being a man or whatnot. And so I knew that I needed to get some help. And my first step of healing was just really starting to communicate with people that I cared about and share, you know, different things, whether that be a counselor or a close friend. And then around the age of 28, I met my wife. My wife, within 24 hours, said, you know, do you know Jesus? That's exactly what she said to me. She wasn't messing around. And I said, I do, but I'm angry with the Lord and everything else. And ultimately I knew that this was a blessing from him to me. She's an amazing woman, and my eyes and heart came back to the Lord. So we've built our business, our lives, you know, foundationally on him. And so as the storms have come through, we've been able to lean on him to get through.
Beautiful. What a really beautiful message and share. And it's great that you've come back to that and found that faith has really helped you move forward. And it sounds like helped you find your partner as well. Now, in the podcast, we talk about questions. We say the quality of the questions we ask ourselves really impacts the quality of the life that we lead. With that being true, what's one question you've asked that's had the biggest positive impact on your life or the life of the community that you serve?
I think the biggest question, who talks to us most, is ourselves. And so those questions that I recall telling myself when I was coming up and trying to get through the battles was, what can I do today to make myself better tomorrow? And so I really dissected this because I wanted to be more than I had seen and gone through. And so I had to look at the people, the places, the things in my life. And if it wasn't bringing me joy or wasn't advancing me in a positive way, I had to cut it out, no matter how hard it was. And so that question I asked myself almost every single day was just that. Every choice I was making, is it getting me closer to where it is that I want to be? Now, fast forward, that was the 18-year-old, 18-year-old me. I'm going to turn 45 here soon. That's a lot of years of hard work and discipline. And I look back and all the blessings and accomplishments and people I've been able to impact. We sponsor a school of children in Haiti. What a blessing that's been able to be. We have almost 100 kids. That's due to that discipline and those questions that I asked myself every single day of, do I want to take that positive path or do I want to take the negative path? The positive path got me to here. The negative path would have kept me with what I was in and what I had seen before.
Love it. I mean, it's very powerful, very powerful.
That's quite a few questions, but it gives you kind of the understanding of how my mind was working.
The way your mind was working is good, and that's, for me, that's why we ask about questions, because what you think about impacts what you feel, which impacts the actions you take and the results that you get. And of course, anyone listening can work backwards from this. This question has led to you having the health, making the impact on others. Supporting a school, 100 kids. That's 100 lives that you're going to make a major impact on. And so that's, outside of all of the tens of thousands of people that you're helping through your business, and even more than that, who've been influenced by you because they've seen you on covers of magazines, etc. So the question is, what can I do today to make myself better tomorrow? And in the heart of that, it sounds like you had a vision. There was something that you were working towards. For you to make a decision around, hey, that's not going to help me get towards it, that needs to go. You had a clear vision of where you wanted to end up. What was that vision?
So the vision wasn't a tangible thing. It wasn't a car. It wasn't a house. It was really about me getting through surviving such hardship and knowing that there were other people in that same space that needed help.
Yeah.
And as I'm pivoting very soon into a new space. I shared my personal story for the first time last month, a story that I haven't shared with but a handful of people. And I know my next purpose in life has to do with impacting and helping heal, being a part of people's healing for years to come. And we can talk about success, we can talk about health, we can talk about fitness, but for me, it's about knowing I was in a headspace that was just, it was so dark, man. And so many people are there. They may show you a smile, but so many people are there and depressed or even suicidal. And they just don't have an outlet. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. And I'm feeling very called to just be a voice in that space and help some men and women.
Tell us about pivoting into that space. How are you going to help them? Is this coming from a place of, service and charity, or is there a business opportunity here where you can help them as well?
So I believe that it's going to be multiple pillars. So
Mm.
it's going to really start with the fact of I have to be extremely vulnerable to a place that showcases the success that I've had and what I've had to go through to get there. So that is now relatable to a human. They go, okay, he's gone through things that I've gone through, and he knows what it feels like to be in that space. So me then being vulnerable and getting on stages, getting on podcasts. I'm about to finish up my book fairly soon, hopefully this year, and then I'm going to really focus on really helping first with the healing, because what we know is there's a lot of entrepreneurs or leaders out there or just normal everyday folk that are working 9 to 5 type of stuff that are struggling, that are in a tough space. And we know that men have struggled. They struggle with talking about it. And so I think we need more strong leadership speaking about that it's okay to talk about things you've gone through, and there be a safe space for that. So we're in the process of, kind of how I'm envisioning it is, I want to build kind of a charity aspect to it, kind of a next step for people type of situation. The book, the speaking, my wife's going to be alongside me, and then kind of let God kind of drive the wheel, man. And that's kind of where I'm at. We have big platforms, and so as I go more public with that, I want to make an impact in a much deeper way, much larger than what we've done at HitchFit.
Love it. It's I can tell you're going to do that, and you're going to do it very well. It's coming from the right place, of mission and service, and no doubt there's a lot of men out there who would be very happy to have that safe space to talk about how they feel. So I mean, so grateful for everything you shared today, and your energy as much as anything. I mean, the words that you said and the experiences you shared are very powerful, but your whole energy and how you show up is really powerful. So. Um, I have a million other questions I can ask you, but I know we're going to be running out of time very shortly. I need to get back to your day. Was there anything else that you'd really like to share? Any other messages that you'd like the listeners to hear?
I would just say that, if you're watching this is touching you in any sort of way, just know that the choices you're making every single day will dictate where you want to be. I know it can be very difficult from going from like a dark place or a place where you kind of feel confused or you don't know how to go to the next step. Just take one day at a time. We know the negative things that are habits in our lives. If we're going and eating bad foods, if we're not working out, if we're drinking too much alcohol, if we're not spending enough time with our family or our kids, like, start just trying to implement some of the positive things and eliminate some of the negatives. Really write down specific goals of what you want to do with your life and how you're going to get there, and then just set it in stone, make a commitment, maybe build a few friends that can be accountability tools and people for you in your life, and lock it in and go make it happen. I believe in you, and it's time to believe in yourself.
I believe in you, and it's time to believe in yourself. And wherever you are today, ask yourself that question: and what can I do today to make myself better tomorrow? And if that's cutting out, some negative habits one at a time. If that's spending more time with your family, if that's just you're getting yourself to the gym for that first session. I heard someone say recently the hardest weight to push in the gym is the front door. So we get that front door pushed, and then you're off and running. So I'm been so blessed and so grateful to have had you here today. Thank you so much for everything you shared. If anyone's listening and wants to get in contact, then check out the show notes. There are links in there to both HitchFit and soulretreats.com. And you'll be able to catch up with Micah and Diana there. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Kevin, thank you, brother.